What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. This is episode 220. A lot of these episodes. But if you enjoyed the Scale News Update, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. Help support the channel. But let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, I have the Boko RC servo mount for the F10 axles. The F10 axles are what you find underneath of the VS410 portal. Also available separately in an axle kit version. So people that are building custom scale trucks, something like that, you can buy the axles separately. And if you want to go servo on axle, there's this option. Now these are 3D printed, but they are 3D printed out of metal. So a much stronger option than typical 3D printing, even like SLS nylon version. Much more appropriate to be used in a servo on axle mount. Found these price is actually pretty affordable, and they also have a number of other servo on axle mounts for a bunch of popular axle housings out there. So if you've got F10s and you wanted a servo on axle, there's two different versions. There's a behind the axle style, and there's a typical on top of the axle. And then they also have servo mounts for other brands of axles and styles as well. Check them out if you've never heard of them. A link to the website where you can find these in the description below, as well as links to the rest of today's stories. Next, the big story for the week is the Losi Mega Truck. On the LMT platform, pretty much the best solid axle monster truck option that there is out there at this time. And this was a super fitting place for this. Now, it's not the exact same as the LMT. The wheelbase has been stretched a little bit and the chassis has some differences. It's not quite as long front and rear as far as the actual chassis itself goes. The chassis are powder coated to match the style of the two body options that were released. One is the King Fling, kind of the originator of mega trucks, at least in like popular media. And then they also did the Bog Hog. These are the Andersons, two mega trucks of choice, and I mean two just awesome choices. The Bog Hog obviously fairly iconic as well. King Sling probably the most iconic, but they did a great job with both the body, the color, the wheels, the tires, everything about this looks pretty good. Now, I've never owned the LMT, but if I was thinking about trying to go out and buy some sort of solid axle monster truck-esque kit, I would have picked the LMT before, but now I would definitely pick up this mega truck specific one. Probably have to go to Bog Hog just because obviously it's orange and it's a great looking setup. I did watch some of the reviews on these during the time of release. Few things that were noted by the reviewers. The Bog Hog seems to be fairly unsupported in the rear of the body, so those fenders look like they're going to be sacrificed pretty easily, and not sure if they're seeing axle housing issues still with the LMT axles, even though they've gone through a revision, they're a little bit beefed up from before. I don't know. Like I said, haven't owned one, but these make it pretty tempting. I have an aversion to mud. I don't know why I like mud trucks so much, even if I hate the whole purpose of them. I think it's just the kid in me that just, it's hard to keep us away from mud. Are you interested in this thing? Bog Hog or King Fling? Which one are you going with? I mean, I think orange is probably the better choice, but I'm guessing King Fling could be the more popular option. This week, Club 5 announced a new 3D printed Toyota grill for the VS410 Phoenix body as well. You know what? It does look a little Toyota-esque. I see where they were going with this. It's a big leap, but I think they pulled it off. Again, 3D printed. Club 5 actually has a bunch of VS410 body specific options, both for the Phoenix and the previous Origins, both the half cab and the full SUV cab. The grille does have some depth to it for mounting pieces that go on the backside because it's actually what supports that front hinge on the body. And I assume this all works well with that setup to make sure that you retain all of the original functionality of that Phoenix body. If you're a Phoenix owner, check that out. Also, while you're at it, like I said, they do have a number of other options. One that they also released this week was kind of a rear-mounted radiator setup, which on its own isn't anything all that special or fancy. But they did integrate some like extra tubes that kind of blend into that rear tube caged bed. So kind of looks like it comes up and dives into the backside of the cab. So adds a little bit of extra depth beyond just adding a radiator with some fans to the back of it. Again, just more options for you in case you're a Phoenix body or Phoenix Portal owner. Check these out. Quite some time ago, we discussed that Proline was releasing some aluminum beadlock faces for the Axial SCX6, and those are finally becoming available. Looks like they're starting to hit in stock in most places, but those took forever. Now, the SCX6 has got a standard kind of two-piece wheel design, but just based on the fact of the size of an SCX6, there's a lot of wheel that you would have to purchase there. Proline did, kind of come up with, maybe they weren't the first, it's hard to say, but they're only selling the front side of the wheel. So it's the wheel face and the outer ring, but you don't have to replace the back side or the inner clamp ring. Helps keep the cost down. And these wheels are actually pretty affordable, especially if you're used to some of the other option part prices that go along with the larger SCX6. I think they did a good job with that. They're available in a darkish bronze color. It's the only color that I've seen available so far. Maybe they'll expand that. Maybe they'll offer more face styles. Not sure. This took a long time from actual announcement to launch. So maybe they hit some sort of snag or hang up there. Not sure what's going on, but maybe now that they have the ball rolling, we'll see more and more options. If you've got an SCX6, this is a good way to change up the style a little bit, beef it up as well with the aluminum versus the plastic design of the hex and all that. Pretty cool looking option at a good price. Check the link in the description if you're interested in these. I want to thank Crawler Innovations again for sponsoring this month of the Scale News Update. If you're a 1.9 truck owner like most of us who are watching this likely are, then check out the Deuces Wild. These specifically for the 1.9 trucks are a two-stage, but they're made of two different densities of closed cell foam. That is nice because it makes them 100% waterproof. So if you want to get the performance of a vented tire, but you don't necessarily like water getting in and can break down an open cell foam, then this is a great option for you. The more dense inner closed cell foam keeps the tire stood up, gives you nice side hilling and sidewall support, also can help turning by holding that tire shape. And then the slightly softer outside closed cell foam adds the conformity so that you still get the performance out of your truck. These are available for the ever popular XL or 4.75 inch tall 1.9 tires, and I'll link to them in the description below. But no matter what products you're looking for from Crawler Innovations, you can go get 10% off with the code Harley10 all month long. So get your shopping in while the month's still going. Harley10, 10% off your entire order over at Crawler Innovations. So go check that out. And thanks again to Crawler Innovations for sponsoring August of the Scale News Update. A while back, we talked about the Primal RC Gravedigger release, and there's a little bit more coming out about this. They had showed the early version, you could pre-order it, and there was also a special release edition that you could get. Now, this truck on its own, it's like 80 pounds, huge 5th scale monster truck. I think it's 5th scale still. Now that early edition or launch edition, whichever collector's edition that it was, also came with a number of extra CNC aluminum things, 10-piece roll bar, roll cage mounts, ball bearing steering links. I think the most substantial of the list of extras that you got was that it came with CNC aluminum bead locks and the 8 negative pressure shock caps, which I think means the reservoir style. There's dual reservoir style shocks on every corner. Again, an 80-pound truck. It looks good running though. It's impressive. As far as 5th scale goes, it's about as impressive as I've seen. If you're looking for just the definition of excess in RC, I think this is the one. It's the one you have to have if you just want to check that box. And if you're looking to complete that, there's a link in the description so you can go check it out if you want a little bit more info. And if you're looking to be one of the, collectors that purchases either this edition or the normal Gravedigger, there's a link in the description. You can go check it out and see all of the details. In this week's new product announcements from RC 4-Wheel Drive, they showed off their new brand partner with some new 2.2 American racing wheels. The beginning of my driving career was pretty much defined by American racing wheels. It's just all of the different options. I feel like they were at least in the Midwest. Maybe not everywhere, but in the Midwest, everybody had American racing wheels. If you didn't have the swept 5-spoke, you had the Outlaw, and those were your only options. That's what everybody had. But they released it in a 2.2, which seems weird. I don't know why. This seems like a 1.9. It should have been a 1.9, but it's not. It's a 2.2. They showed on a bomber in the photos. Okay. I feel like that was a bit of a miss, but big surprise there. Also in RC four-wheel drive's releases for this week, they had a new 1.7 tire, kind of that oddball size we don't see a lot of, but 1.7 BFG KO2, 3.6 inches tall roughly. So pretty small tire. They show it on their like D90, but if you're looking for that small tire, you're probably looking for something fairly, ultra scale. The 1.7 stuff's obviously a little bit more popular with like the 1/14th scale, but we do see it a little bit in our 10th scale area. Most of our trucks don't scale to 1/10, so a 1.7 is probably closer to like a 15-inch wheel. But if that's the style you're going for, 3.6 inches tall, not a lot of tire options in that range, so maybe this is filling a gap that was, didn't take a lot to fill. If you like it, you know who you are, and you can figure out where to find the details. This Wednesday, live stream takeover. Matt and I haven't looked for a guest yet. Maybe there'll be a guest. We'll see. Haven't got that far yet. Check in and find out this coming Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. See if we found somebody. But that's going to do it for this week's news topics. For this week's questions segment, last week I asked you guys if your last build was a movie, what would it be? Lots of pretty similar answers on that one. Money Pit definitely seemed to be the most common answer, but there was also some good ones. Sharknado popped up for some reason. Like, almost would like to see what prompted you to think that Sharknado was the most fitting, but always fun to read those. For this week, we talked earlier about the new mud trucks, the mega truck from Losi and what it is. The fact that I hate mud, but I feel like driving these trucks in mud it just would be too much fun to resist. I refer to the fact that it's like the kid in me, like wanting to come out and play in the mud, without having to think about the repercussions of what I'm going to have to do after I'm done cleaning and maintaining and all that. So in RC, what makes you feel most like a kid? Is that where like the bashing fills that need for you? Going as fast as you can, jumping huge, just sending an RC truck? Is it mudding? Is it actually building the trucks, making you remember Legos more, Erector sets, whatever it may be? Put your comments in the comments below. That's where you put comments on YouTube. You know how it goes. You've been here before 219 times before this. But with that, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your week. Thanks again for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoy these videos. Subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you see the Scale News update as soon as it gets uploaded every Tuesday. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next one.